what advice would you have for a residential solar rep who maybe was interested in learning about or trying to get into more of the commercial side of stuff?
Commercial is definitely a different beast. So this opens up kind of a pretty heavy topic in the fact that there's a different approach in how you're going to first design and propose projects for one. Commercial rate schedules and billing are different in the fact that, let's just take a Utah market here where I'm located at. In Utah, we have a couple of years ago, we used to have a 1-to-1 net metering, and as of recently, it's now down to 4.81 cents on the buyback rate. They only buy back monthly now. So taking that solar approach, you've got to approach it to where you got to offset the energy and then also offset for what buyback you're not going to get. And that can be done through these traditional tools, your Solos and Auroras and all your different proposal tools that are out there in the marketplace. But when you go through a commercial rate schedule in the mix, now you have time of use. So you have different cost of energy in 2 or 3 different blocks. You now have demand charges, which sometimes demand charges are in 2 or 3 different formats and sections. You now have seasonality, where you have a winter and a summer rate schedule. So unfortunately, the residential platforms don't have the ability to go through and run those dynamic rate schedules and account for a proper savings. So that's where a proper commercial tool is required, like Energy Toolbase is a common one that's used in the commercial space. So that's the first thing is that first find a partner that has the ability to understand how to run rate schedules in commercial. For one, commercial rate schedules, you're not going to offset 100% of the bill. Client today, specifically, they had a scenario where we offset 100% of their kilowatt hours, the consumption of the building, but we only touched 47% of the bill because the other 53% were demand charges and surcharges and net metering offset billing fees and all the other things that went with it that solar didn't touch. And so in this case, that's a term we use in the industry called avoided cost of energy. Even though they're paying 20 cents a kilowatt hour, we're only able to avoid about 8.7 cents of it. So we now have to put in a installation cost and a financing mechanism that competes against 8.7 cents, not against 20. So there's a lot of nuances to that. The other piece of commercial is constructability. So not every system is cookie cutter like we see residentially, right? And the rooftop, it's either this much pitch or that much pitch, or north, south, east, and west. We've got different fire setback codes, but outside of that, it's pretty straightforward. Well, for commercial, you're having to account for how you're connecting to their main breaker. Now we have 3-phase power that's more expensive. Now you have cost for taps. Then you have electrical upgrades are no longer $2,700 as an adder. We've got electrical upgrades being anywhere from $50,000 to $160,000. And so there's a lot of those nuances you have to consider because you can considerably overpromise. Saying, yeah, I'm going to give you the best deal in the world, and then all of a sudden utility comes back and says, yeah, we'll get it done for $150,000 for electrical upgrade. It's a little bit harder to back out of that deal. And then I would say the third thing would be is financing. So financing is totally different commercial. It's not like run a credit check and get an instant approval like we have with Good Leaf and Mosaic and SunGauge and Sunlight. It's commercial underwriting and financing is anywhere from 3 weeks to 3 months. It's not cookie cutter. You got to collect data. You got to collect financials and understand their tax liabilities and all of that. So as you're looking to getting into commercial, you're looking at a 9 to 14 months on average from lead in to installation. A good, healthy commercial solar company closes at 9%. And you got to keep the hopper full. And if you're planning on switching over to commercial primarily, you better have enough cash underneath your mattress and in the freezer to get you through the lulls of the 12 months before you get that one payment. So I always suggest is that focus on residential because it's fast paced and you can get paid week to week. And then as you come across those commercial opportunities, partner with someone that is qualified to kind of manage all of that and account for those nuances, but then still have some reward back to you for pioneering the opportunity. And that's what Watthub does. We have 3,800 channel partners nationwide that use us for our commercial expertise, and they can focus on their core competency while we focus on the commercial opportunity for them.